Sutra. World Honored One, I see that beings of Jambudvipa will themselves receive the benefit of any good deeds they are able to do that accord with the Buddha's teachings. That holds true even when the deeds are as small as a strand of hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust. After that had been said, an elder named Great Eloquence rose up in the assembly. He had realized non-production long ago and was appearing in the body of an elder, only to teach and transform those in the 10 directions. Commentary. World Honored One, I see that beings of Jambudvipa will themselves receive the benefit of any good deeds they are able to do that accord with the Buddha's teachings. That holds true even when the deeds are as small as a strand of hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust. After that had been said, an affluent elder named Great Eloquence, because he is replete with the four obstructed eloquences of meaning, of Dharma, of phrasing, and of delight in speaking, rose in the assembly. He had realized non-production, the fruition of nirvana, long ago, and was appearing in the body of an extremely affluent elder, only to teach and transform those in the 10 directions. Sutra. Putting his palms together respectfully, he asked Earth Star Bodhisattva, Great Lord, after people in Jambudvipa die and their close and distant relatives cultivate merit and making vegetarian meal offerings and doing other such good deeds, will the deceased obtain merit and virtue significant enough to bring about their liberation? Earthstar replied, Elder, based on the awesome power of the Buddhas, I will now expound this principle for the sake of well-being of the present and future. Elder, if beings of the present and future, when on the verge of dying, hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one Pratika Buddha, they will attain liberation, whether they have committed offenses or not. Commentary. Putting his palms together respectfully, the elder, asked Earth Star Bodhisattva, Great Lord, after people in Jambudvipa die and their close and distant relatives cultivate merit by making vegetarian meal offerings for the triple jewel and doing other such good deeds, will the deceased obtain merit and virtue significant enough to bring about their liberation, being freed of their offense karma? Earth Star Bodhisattva replied, Elder, based on the awesome power of the Buddhas, you see, Earth Star Bodhisattva does not claim that he has any great awesome spiritual power. Instead, he says, based on the Buddha's great awesome spiritual power. Why? This means that he respects the Buddha, so always names the Buddha before himself. I will now expound this principle briefly for the sake of beings in the present and future. Elder, Earth Star Bodhisattva calls out again. If beings of the present and future, when on the verge of dying, hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one Pratika Buddha, one who enlightens two conditions, they will attain total liberation whether they have committed offenses or not. How come one can eliminate his offense karma by hearing the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one Pratika Buddha at the time of death? It is because at the time of death, one's life source, composed of warmth, breath, and consciousness, ends. One's life source ends in this order. First, there is no warmth, then no breath, then consciousness leaves. When these three things end for someone, his life ends. Someone dies when his life source ends. When a bird is about to die, his chirpings are sad too. When a person is about to die, his words are kind too. At the time of death, people discover their concerns, hence noticing and reflecting on everything they did right and wrong. They know where they were really wrong and become penitent. Once they are repentant, then even if they only hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one practical Buddha, they will eliminate endless offenses, good rules, and offenses. The time of death is most critical. It is precisely at this time that good thoughts come forth. Why do we usually recite the Buddha's name? We recite homage to Amitabha Buddha to prepare ourselves from forgetting at the time of death. Since we typically recite, we will not forget at the time of death. If you wait until the time of death to recite and develop good thoughts, then it will be difficult. Of course, if such good thoughts do occur, they will be very effective. As long as you are repentant, all offenses are eliminated. Sutra: when men or women laden with offenses who fail to plant good causes die, even they can receive 1/7 of any merit dedicated to them by relatives who do good deeds on their behalf. The other 6/7 of the merit will return to the living relatives who did the good deeds. It follows that good men and women of the present and future will cultivate, while they are strong and healthy, will receive all of the benefits derived. The arrival of the great ghost of impermanence is so unexpected that the deceased one's consciousness is first wrapped in darkness and obscurity, unaware of offenses and blessings. For 49 days, the deceased are as if deluded or deaf, or as if in courts where their karmic retributions are being decided. Once judgment is fixed, they are reborn according to their karma. In the time before rebirths are determined, the deceased suffer from thousands upon thousands of anxieties. How much more is that the case for those who are so fallen into the bad destinies? Throughout 49 days, those whose lives have ended and who have not yet been reborn will be hoping every moment that their immediate relatives can earn blessings powerful enough to rescue them. At the end of that time, the deceased will undergo retribution according to their karma. If someone is an offender, he may pass through hundreds of thousands of years without even a day's liberation. If someone's offenses deserve fivefold relentless retribution, he will fall into the great hells and undergo incessant suffering throughout hundreds of millions of years. Commentary: when men or women who practice the 5 precepts and the 10 goodnesses laden with offenses who failed to plant good causes die, even they can receive 1/7 of any merit dedicated to them by relatives who do good deeds on their behalf. Although they received the 5 precepts and the 10 goodnesses, they do not create any good causes or do good deeds. They create many offenses. If after their death, their relatives create some small amounts or large amounts of blessings for them, among the sacred deeds or good deeds done, the deceased can receive 1 ounce of 7 portions. The other 6/7 of the merit will return to the living relatives who did the good deeds. It follows that good men and women of the present and future who cultivate while they are strong and healthy will receive all of the benefit derived in their present lifetime. They receive every part of the merit that they did while they were alive. The arrival of the great ghost of impermanence is so unexpected that the deceased one's consciousness is first wrapped in darkness and obscurity, unaware of offenses and blessings. What is the ghost of impermanence? When he arrives, you are no longer permanent. But you do not know when the ghost of impermanence will arrive. One's consciousness or soul which is the body between skandhas or existence, travels about. The 12 causal links are ignorance conditions activity, activity conditions consciousness, consciousness conditions name and form conditions the six agencies, the six agencies condition contact, contact conditions feeling, feeling conditions love conditions grasping, grasping conditions existence, existence conditions birth, birth conditions old age and death. The existence in the body between existences is the existence in existence conditions birth. The prior five skandhas have ceased, while the five skandhas to come have not yet occurred. In between the prior and later five skandhas is a body between skandhas. This body sees the great earth like ink devoid of light from the sun and moon. Hence, its consciousness roams about in darkness and obscurity, unaware of whether it is creating offenses or accruing blessings. For 49 days, the deceased are as if deluded or deaf, or as if in courts where their karmic retributions are being decided. Due to the Buddhist teachings, the Chinese will avoid Buddhist monastics or Taoists to recite sutras to save the deceased, since the Earth Sutra makes it clear that the deceased is as if deaf and dumb during these 7 weeks. The hells do not have only one king Yama, but 10. One of each hall of the house, each lord of the underworld supervises many departments and 5 officers. One on the prohibition of killing, one on the prohibition of stealing, one on the prohibition of sexual conduct, one on the prohibition of double-tongued speech, and one on the prohibition of intoxicants. These 5 officers are in charge of all the offenses that one has created. The deceased goes on trial and debates with an officer depending on the category of offenses he or she committed. When judgment is fixed, they are reborn according to their karma. Once their future retribution is determined according to the karma they created, they go on to face their retribution. In the time of rebirths are determined, the deceased suffer from thousands upon thousands of anxieties. They are really worried and concerned about because they do not know whether they will become ox or horses, swine or sheep, humans or what. Hence, they are extremely sad and suffer. How much more is that the case for those who are fallen into the bad destinies, not to mention those who have already fallen into the evil destinies of hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. Throughout the 49 days, those whose lives have ended and who have not yet been reborn will be hoping every moment that blessing immediate relatives will earn blessings powerful enough to rescue them, such as reciting the Earth Sutra, bow the Earth Store repentance, bow to Earth Store Bodhisattva, create various blessings, or make offerings to the Triple Jewel. At the end of that time, the deceased will undergo retribution according to their karma. If someone is an offender, he may pass through hundreds of thousands of years even without even a day's liberation. If someone's offenses deserve 5 relentless retribution, he will fall into the great hells such as the 8 cold hells, the 8 hot hells, and others, and undergo incessant suffering throughout hundreds of millions of ants, especially is essentially in the hells forever. Someone who has committed 5 extremely evil offenses, such as murdering one's father, murdering one's mother, murdering an heart, shedding the blood of a Buddha or ruining the harmony of the Sangha, then one will fall into the relentless house and suffer relentlessly. The fivefold relentless retribution are: 1. Relentless in terms of time, from entering the house at first to the end of the stay, there is not a moment when suffering pauses. 2. Relentless in terms of form. Someone sees his body as well as many individuals' bodies, filling up the entire house simultaneously. 3. Relentless in terms of suffering, since entering the house, all the punishments using various instruments and implements to quit. 4. Relentless in terms of life, the offender's lives can be one day and a night, numerous cycles of birth and death, feel relentless in the house. 5. Relentless in terms of retribution. The retribution they face never ceases.